Hey guys, back again with another video. I know it's been a long time. Another games I've been playing recently video. I know I had said I was going to try to do reviews of all the Resident Evil games I've been playing, but I'm kind of almost finished one, and I did finish Code Veronica a while back, and just didn't have the time to do a review. So I'll just talk about like 4 or 5 games I've been playing recently. And I guess give kind of a reason why I've been kind of absent on YouTube lately, and probably actually why I'm going to be not doing as many videos. I've already been not doing as much videos as I used to. It's just been really tough with my work schedule. And then actually recently I started dating someone too. So it's, yeah, as it happens with most people when they start dating someone, video games have kind of, they're a lot lower on the priority list right now, I guess you could say. So yeah, there's that been going on with my personal life, a lot of stuff with my job as well that I've been making it pretty busy. And yeah, it's just the time for games is just, I just don't have much time for games these days, it seems. So yeah, sorry to disappoint a lot of people. Videos are going to be few and far between now, unfortunately, but definitely not quitting YouTube or anything like that. You're going to still see videos from me. It might be in this kind of format, maybe like more casual games I've been playing type format, or a casual vlog type thing. But the reviews are going to be a little rarer because those take a little more time to kind of make. I mean, even though they're still kind of unscripted, like these ones are. But anyways, let's get into what I've been playing. Let's start with. We'll start with Code Veronica, which I finished. Jesus, probably close to a month ago now. But yeah, it's definitely my least favorite old school Resident Evil game so far. It's got a lot of problems. It's where the series has finally gone batshit insane with its story. At this point, I don't fucking care about the lore with this series, and they've gone completely overboard. It's also a lot more cheesy than previous games. It's a lot more over the top. I mean, the game immediately starts with this cutscene with like explosions and Claire running towards the camera, and it's just, there's so much goofy dialogue. A lot of the antagonists in this game are incredibly over the top with really cheesy voice acting. There's a lot of really dumb plot twists that happen towards the end. It's gone full camp at this point. Resident Evil 3 was already kind of heading in that direction, but Code Veronica just dials it up to 11. And at this point, I've completely lost interest in the actual storytelling with this series. It's also a bit problematic in the sense that the atmosphere is just getting worse with each game. The tension isn't quite as strong. It's just the environments aren't as creepy to explore. I guess there's still kind of tension because the game, Code Veronica, is still very much a survival horror game. It's a lot harder than the previous games. I found I was running out of ammo a lot more. Although it's mostly yeah, no, it was ammo. There was a good hour section with Chris at the end, which I guess kind of a spoiler, but I think everyone already knows that you play as Chris for the second half of the game. There was an hour or two there where I was just so low on supplies, and I was just it was hairy, man. For a good hour or two, I was just holy fuck, this is the most tense this series has ever been. It's just the environments weren't that interesting to explore, and they just weren't creepy. The game's not scary. Code Veronica is not a scary game. It's goofy most of the time. It's weird too because it doesn't have the counter move type thing that was in Resident Evil 3. The timing based counter move. It does still have the quick turn, but it's a little more sloppy than Resident Evil 3, I find. The big problem I have with Code Veronica, though, is just the way it fucks over new players. I mean, people that have played this game front to back, they know where to go. But their character switching happens at different points in this game, and if you haven't saved for a while and you have certain weapons and items attached to certain characters, you might find yourself in a really bad spot. If you get switched to Chris and you only have a pistol, you only put out a pistol with maybe one clip of ammo with it. I got lucky whenever there was character switching. One of my friends was watching me play the game for the most part, so I kind of knew what to keep on each character. But I could have very easily seen myself like fucked over in some of these situations if I didn't know what to expect. The one tyrant fight on the airplane, for example, if you don't have the right amount of ammo, you have to go back to a really old save. And if you're going to play this game, rotate your saves. If you just do one save, yeah, you are definitely going to get fucked over. In fact, I'm pretty sure I did. I noticed a spot where I would have been if I only had that one save. But yeah, it's the environments are they're not pre-rendered anymore from what I saw. They're kind of more 3D now. And obviously this game originally was on the Dreamcast, and then they did PS2 with this X version, which I think adds a few cutscenes with like Wesker, some really dumb cutscenes that I don't like whatsoever. But for the time it probably looked really good, but it's weird. I actually, in a way, kind of, well, I mean the character models are obviously a lot better than something like Resident Evil 3 or 2. And the environments still do look quite nice, but going from this to something like Resident Evil 1 Remake or Resident Evil 0, and then you notice a huge difference in the graphics, but it looks fine. I will say the PS2 version I played had a weird amount of ghosting to it. I don't know if it was my TV or if it was that version of the game in particular, but it was definitely noticeable from what I saw. But anyways, I'm trying to think what else to say. There's not too much else. It's a pretty traditional, old-school Resident Evil game at the time where people were kind of getting sick of them. Like with all the others, the boss fights are terrible. They're fucking garbage. Some really annoying boss fights in this game. I don't know. It's also a little too long. Like, Resident Evil 2 and 3, I think, are like the perfect lengths. This is almost twice the size, especially with the two characters. And I don't know, by like the 10-hour mark, it took me like maybe 13 to 15 hours to beat it. By like the 9 or 10 hour mark, I was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of done with this. I guess the progression is a little different too, though. Like, you have like 3 different massive areas that you're kind of always backtracking to and from. Like, you'll get one item in one area, and then you'll have to use that item in this one area that's far off. So there's a lot more backtracking in this game than previous Resident Evil games, which that's another thing that kind of drove me a little crazy, especially towards the end of the game. Just going through these same environments over and over again just to do these really easy puzzles. They're all right. There's a music box one that I really loved. It's very simple, but it was cool. But then there's also like a was it like a clock puzzle? It was one with like the amber stone, the obsidian stone, and all that. And you have to like, yeah, it was like the clock puzzle. That was just fucking stupid. I hated that one. But yeah, the puzzles were kind of hit and miss, like a lot of these Resident Evil games, but not as annoying as they are in the first Resident Evil, and I think they are better than Resident Evil 3, but yeah, that's Code Veronica. Decent game. I still think well worth playing if you like old school Resident Evil games. If you're like me, though, and are a newcomer to them, honestly, it might be only if you really are loving this type of experience and want another one, I'd say it's worth it, but yeah, I'm definitely not as enthralled with it as the previous games. I think it's a noticeable downgrade in quality compared to Resident Evil 2 and 3. It made me appreciate Resident Evil 3 even more, actually, playing through this one. Anyways, Code Veronica, moving from that, we have Resident Evil 0 on the Origins Collection here on PS4. I haven't finished this yet. I think I'm very close. Like, one more session, I can get this finished. One other thing I did want to say about Code Veronica, though, the save rooms were way too infrequent, and that caused even more backtracking. So that was another thing about that game that annoyed me. But Resident Evil 0, I'd always heard mixed things about this game. Like, people either seem to think it's like decent or to good to horrible. A lot of people think it's trash. So I'm kind of pleasantly surprised by it. I actually dig it. I think it's better than Code Veronica, unless it really shits the bed at the end here. Then yeah, I would rank it above Code Veronica. Maybe even, I might even like it more than 3, maybe. It's hard to say, but it's definitely has its issues. Just like Resident Evil Code Veronica, I don't give a shit about the story. I think the new character, well, Rebecca is kind of not a new character, but I mean, for this game, she kind of is. The new characters are kind of bland. I don't like them that much. A lot of the dialogue is still really hokey, and it's giving all these answers to questions that really. Like, do we really know like an answer? Do we need an answer to every fucking question that the Resident Evil series raised in the past. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's fan service in like the worst possible way. So yeah, the storytelling in Resident Evil 0 is just complete garbage. But the gameplay is pretty good. I mean, it's gorgeous. Oh my god, man. The pre-rendered backgrounds in Resident Evil 0 are just terrific. Like, oh man, so good. It's still not really that scary or creepy like with Resident Evil Code Veronica. It's one of the most tense Resident Evil games I've played so far, though. Resident Evil 0 is tough. This is definitely the hardest one so far. Ammo is a bit more plentiful than Code Veronica, but healing items in this game are just... They will not give you healing items, and you're controlling 2 characters in this one, so you actually kind of need more ammo and healing, because there are times where you'll have to use a certain character. So there was like a good 2-hour section of this game where I had both characters at the danger level. They were 1 hit away from death. I had no healing items, almost no ammo, and I had to like kill like a bunch of hunter enemies and go through this long section with like spiders as well. It was so fucking tense, and it took me a lot of tries to get it done because I didn't want to revert to an old save. But I finally did it, and it was really satisfying. So yeah, it's a very challenging game, so far at least. Boss fights are typically terrible. It has probably the worst boss fight I've seen in the entire series, which is the bat, the infected bat. Because it like has a million of other bats flying around it. You can't accurately aim at the big one. You're constantly missing your shots. It's a fucking pain in the ass. I hated it. I really hope this game doesn't throw any more bosses that are that horrible at me. The puzzles are pretty decent in this game. There's a lot of, you know, switching between the 2 characters to kind of solve puzzles, which kind of makes it a little fresh. There are some annoyances that come from the character switching, though. It's just, there's a lot more going through menus in this game, and it can be a bit tedious kind of swapping items with different characters, because what's his name? I can't even remember his fucking name. Not Jake. Billy. He can't combine herbs. So you have to, like, if he has herb healing items on him, you have to, like, exchange them with Rebecca, then she has to combine them. If you have to, like, push something, yeah, I gotta get Billy to do it. There's a lot more item management in this game, which can be kind of a pain in the ass, especially when combined with the fact that there's no item boxes in this game. You just basically drop shit wherever, and then you pick it up later. Now, it's kind of good in the sense that the map will still show which items are where, but I don't know, it just creates that extra step. Instead of just having this item box in all these different save rooms, you have to like manually pick up these items on the floor and then switch between characters to make sure they have the right items. It's all these unnecessary extra steps that I don't know. I don't quite understand why they. I mean, I would have probably had both. I think both would have been fine, like an item box and being able to put stuff on the floor. But I don't know. It's not like a huge annoyance. It's not like a game breaker or anything like that. And for the most part, I think the character switching is different enough that it's keeping me engaged compared to something like Code Veronica. It's interestingly enough, it doesn't have the Resident Evil 3 counterattack type things. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't bring that back, but yeah, so far 0, I'm quite enjoying it. It's got my favorite version of the save room theme. The version in this game is spectacular. It's so good. But yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it so far. I definitely don't quite see where the hate comes from with it, other than a few annoyances here and there. But hopefully I'll finish this pretty soon. What else we got? Quickly, I'll just talk about Hidden Agenda on PS4 here. This was like a party game for me. Just played it with a group of people. We failed pretty spectacularly. We didn't figure out who the killer even was. It's done by the Heavy Rain guys. Basically everyone uses their cell phone, and you kind of like make choices together. There's some cool ideas here. It's a very like derivative like crime thriller. It borrows so much from like crime dramas and crime TV shows that it's very cliched. It's not totally interesting. Again, it's one of those fun games to play when you all get together, have some drinks or something like that. But if you're playing like by yourself or with one other person, it's probably not that good. But it's kind of a unique concept. We kind of enjoyed it overall. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze here on the Switch. Of course, I had to get this. I had it on Wii U, but I traded it in and got this version. I've talked about this game extensively. It's my favorite platformer, at least side-scrolling platformer of like the past 10 years or so. I think this game's a masterpiece. And I'm playing it again, and yeah, no, it's still fucking amazing. Like, the level design is just impeccable from start to finish. Every level, the way they build upon the concepts, the way the backgrounds kind of like blend with the obstacles that you'll come across. Just like the super in-depth controls of each character, just the feel of it, and just how challenging it is. It's not afraid to challenge you. That said, though, the funky mode that they introduced in the Switch version is a little overkill. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just an option, and if more people can get into the game, I'm for that. But they might have taken it a bit too far. You get like 5 health instead of 2. Although I guess if with that easy mode, if you chose DK, you actually get 6 health, but whatever. You can stand on spikes. You have infinite breath underwater. You have a double jump. It's ridiculous. I tried it, and by the second world, I had max lives. Like, it was a bit absurd. But I mean, no one can complain the game's too hard now. A lot of people will complain that the original game was too difficult. So yeah, now no one can complain because like anyone could do it now because the funky mode is. It's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty broken in a lot of ways, but you can still do the classic mode, so it's not exactly a huge deal. That's really all they've added for this version, though. The price, I've seen a lot of people complain about the price. For people that have already played the game and don't like love it, then yeah, it might not be worth double dipping. They really didn't add much, but for someone like me, it's one of my favorite games of all time, I didn't mind. And for newcomers, I think it's well worth the price of admission. There's so much extra bonus content, too, in this game. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal game. So much better than Returns on the Wii and 3DS as well. Like, it's one of the most improved sequels I've seen. The music, David Weiss, his soundtrack is just absolutely phenomenal in this game. Anyways, I better stop gushing about this. It's actually one of those games where, honestly, there's not anything I dislike about it. Like, I think it's as close to perfect for a platformer as you can get. Tropical Freeze is just, it's amazing. And finally, the big one, God of War. Pretty much everyone bought and played this. I got the platinum in this. I know I said on Twitter I wouldn't do it, but of course me, I just, I decided to go for it. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by this game. It's actually really good. It's crazy going from that first reveal video where I looked at, I was like, I have no interest in that. That does not look like my kind of game whatsoever. Yeah, I guess probably the most surprising thing is that the combat is so good. It's got this great feel to it, and just the fact that the throwing the axe is so satisfying. There's plenty of different moves for you to learn and upgrades that you'll get. It's super violent and satisfying, and each enemy has its own like strategy that you have to use for it. It's got a good sense of speed to it too. It's not like super slow, and it's just, yeah, some of the combos you can do in this are just absolutely vicious and just are really cool to pull off. It's really impressive actually how good the combat is. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's like, on the level of something like a Bayonetta or like character action games like Bayonetta or something like that, but it's shockingly good. A lot better than the combat in the previous God of War games, I must say. I guess the other thing that surprises me how good the storytelling is in this game. That's I think the big takeaway here. At first I went into this thinking, oh, it's this father and son story I'm not going to give a shit about. And yeah, by the end, I actually fucking cared about these two characters. They did a surprisingly good job at making Kratos sympathetic, which is odd considering he was basically kind of a monster in the previous games. But Atreus, I really liked. It's one of a good child character, and just the dialogue between them is actually hilarious at times. A lot of like the stories that Kratos will tell when they're like on the boat are pretty funny. Some of the side quests have some really funny writing to it as well. I'm very surprised by the general writing in this game. Like there's a lot of cleverness to it. There's a lot of wit to it. It's funny. It's emotional, like pretty sad moments in there as well. By the end of the game, I was sold on this relationship, and I thought they did a really good job with it. Which I think that might be the biggest surprise for me personally. Even though the combat's also good, it's also got just a nice world to explore. It's just really fun getting on your boat and traveling to these different islands. The way the world is structured is pretty cool as well. Some pretty cool side quests, some rewarding side quests. It's always fun getting like new loot, new gear for your character and upgrading it. And you'll need it for some of the optional bosses in this game. That last Valkyrie fight, the Valkyrie Queen, holy fuck, like she's hard. Like goddamn, like this game generally on the normal difficulty isn't too difficult. In fact, I'd say it's a little bit too easy. Even some of the standard Valkyrie fights, but that Queen, holy shit. She took me a lot of tries. Like I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little embarrassed how long it took me to kill her, but very satisfying when I did. You really had to learn every single attack she had. You had to dodge at just the right time, counter at just the right time. It was a great fight. I honestly, a part of me wishes there were more bosses at that level, but some of the side content is better than others. Niflheim I wasn't a big fan of. It was like an area where there was like respawning enemies, and you had like this poison mist that was like draining your health, and you had to like grind out materials to like get one of the trophies. It wasn't very fun, but the other realm, the Muspelheim I think it's called, had a bunch of these trials that were actually pretty fun to do, except for the ones where you couldn't take damage. Fuck those ones. Those ones suck. But the rest of them were pretty fun to do. Of course, visually, the game looks spectacular. The presentation and just production values are just absolutely insane here. But the soundtrack, people were raving about the soundtrack. The soundtrack sucks in this game. Come on. Like, it is your typical bland, overdone orchestral soundtrack where every song sounds the same and just adds fucking nothing to the game. Like, honestly, I don't understand what people are raving about with the soundtrack in this game. It's like every other AAA Western game you've ever played. It's boring. It's not good. I guess what else? The camera can be a bit weird. I gotta say, there are times where the camera can fuck you in this game, especially in that Queen Valkyrie fight. It's just sometimes you can't get an accurate view of what the enemies are doing. So there's often times that Queen Valkyrie would jump in the air and do an AoE attack, but based on what I was doing, the camera wasn't positioned right enough where I could actually see her. And the lock-on system can be a bit finicky as well. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm trying to think what else with this game though. I mean, I'm gonna say that the reviews I think are a little too high. People are saying like this is one of the best games ever made, best game of the generation and shit like that. I wouldn't go that far. This is not a Bloodborne. I'm sorry, it's not. But it is far better than I was expecting. I was pleasantly surprised by it, and I think it's well worth playing if you have a PS4. Yeah, that's it, guys. That's all I've been playing. Again, I'm sorry, I haven't been doing many videos, and yeah, it's probably not going to be many videos for a while here. But yeah, I haven't quit YouTube. I definitely haven't quit, but I did want to give kind of an explanation why it's been kind of slow on my channel. But that's it. What have you guys been playing? Did you play any of these games? What do you think of it? I know God of War is the big one. What have you guys thought of this game? Anyways, that's it, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.